Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Here we are live on the different social media channels of Les Roches Marbella. Thank you. Well, actually, no one is on there now. Okay, a few people are starting to join. We'll leave a few minutes for people to join us, and we'll start this in a few seconds. Okay. Okay, so more and more people are joining us, which is absolutely great to see lots of people joining. We will start in just a few seconds as soon as more people start to join. It gives us some time to adjust. Okay. Again, we'll just wait for a few minutes. I don't know if we're having any issues on YouTube. I'm just getting some feedback from the people that are looking. Thank you for your patience. As soon as we have everything ready, we will start. Okay, so it seems like we have a go-ahead with every channel. Everything is supposedly connected. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for taking some time to join us this afternoon. I'm actually here at the Marbella campus. I don't know if you're an alumni or a student. You might recognize my background, maybe bring some memories. It's really nice to be here. It's an incredible afternoon in Marbella. But again, as you know, the soul of our school is missing without all of the students here. We have been closed for some time due to everything that's been happening, but the campus is still open with some of our teams that are taking care of everyone here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone that is joining us, and thanks to our panelists who I'm going to explain and introduce in a little moment. I want to give a big shout out to all of our students that are following us. I'd like to give a shout out as well to all of the alumni that are working. We have an incredible Les Roches alumni network around the world going through these moments, and all of the professional people that are also joining us. And before I do so, I do want to thank the Alumni Network for putting together these different series. Through the Alumni Network, you're going to be able to find different interventions throughout these days, where you can follow a bit of expertise from our alumni. A shout out to the alumni community as well. Just to remind you, if you are an alumni, make sure that you are registered in our website, alumni.lesroches.edu. And we're going to be having a few chats on Saturday the 16th with our alumni around the world, both Marbella and as well our students in Crans-Montana and Bluche. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to begin this webinar. From my side, I just want to let you know everybody here on the campus, all the staff and faculty are doing very well. Most of our staff and faculty are working from home. They are supporting our students with online at this moment. And what we are doing here on campus with our F&B teams are also taking care of all those students that weren't able to leave. So we're providing them with all the support in terms of accommodation and board during these difficult times. So all good here. I'm going to introduce the panel with us this afternoon. First of all, on the screen, we have Elton Dalmedo. He is the Chief Operating Officer of SMI Hotels. He will be with us throughout today, class of 2003. Very nice to see you, Elton, because I personally know Elton because we also shared the same year of graduation. So great to see you as well.
Good afternoon, Manu. It's a pleasure, like always.
Thank you, Elton. Next, I have Carlos Herburu, that's in his house in Madrid. Carlos is global head of Urban Esperia Hotels. I also had the pleasure of studying with Carlos, and also a very close friend. Very nice to have you, Carlos.
Thank you very much, Manu. Thank you very much to everybody, and to Les Roches to be able to participate in this type of activities, which are, I think, essential at this moment.
Thanks, Carlos. And all the way from Brussels in Belgium, we have Patrick, who is Corporate Operations Director for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Radisson Hotel Group. I had the pleasure of meeting Patrick while he studied with us here, and I think he continues to have the same dynamic spirit, and I think that's what led you to where you are today. So really nice to see you again, Patrick.
Thank you, Manu. Thank you to you and to Les Roches, of course, for this opportunity. And it's a pleasure to share some insight.
Thanks, Patrick. And last but not least, we have Almudena Casas, Senior Manager for Learning and Development with Marriott. And she's currently in Dubai, so she's starting her weekend in Dubai. It's 2 hours ahead. So I really thank you for taking some time to, well, let's say, start your weekend with us, in a way. So thank you, Almudena. Nice to see you.
A pleasure to be here, and Ramadan Kareem for those of you that are celebrating.
Absolutely. Great. So just to start off, throughout this crisis, I think we went through different phases, and I'm speaking on for Les Roches, but I'm also speaking for most of you that were running different hotels around the world. We went through different moments in which we started the year where we were starting to adapt our premises or our facilities to hygiene standards to ensure that we had enough gel, or we were doing the different things. And then suddenly we had to move into a phase where in 24 hours, or at least 48 hours, we had to take decisions of closing our premises, going from that phase of everybody back home, and then going into a phase of repatriation, where I think all of the hotels, and Les Roches included, had to send everybody back home and support all those people to go back home. The next phase after that was really to stop and really realize that we were in a closure mode. And what brings us today here is the mode in which we are in now, in which we've been all working, which are different scenarios for how the industry is looking forward and how we're going to recuperate in that sense. So I don't know how you guys lived that confinement and those different stages. I'll start maybe with Almudena in Dubai. How did that go for you guys?
Well, it did work quite as you're mentioning, right? We started really understanding, and so now our region of Middle East and Africa has joined with Europe. So we have really seen how, from an Asia Pacific perspective, all our hotels were encountering this, and we really didn't know how this was going to affect. And then all of a sudden, from Asia Pacific, we moved into the crisis in Europe. In Middle East and Africa, it actually came much slower, and the curfews and management have been actually lighter. But definitely, our region has really been affected to this. And Marriott right now is working extremely hard and leveling up all to a hospital basically rate and grade of hygiene, which I'm sure most of the hotels are also doing, right? So it has changed a lot the way that we're doing, and we have been, our office in Dubai has been working from home already for more than a month. So it is interesting times.
Absolutely. Thank you for your feedback, Almudena. How about you, Patrick? I mean, you are overseeing different regions as well, no? So I'm sure you had those phases were happening in different times, depending on the countries where you're operating in. How did that go for you guys with Radisson?
Well, it was a continuous learning experience, to be honest, and having, let's say, a presence in different regions or geographical areas allowed us to learn and to adapt in some way. I was, to be honest, impressed about two things about the COVID-19, especially, let's say, deep down situation. It was the speed for which it happened, and the fact that I think for the first time in history, a lot of our hotels touched the 0% occupancy. So I think no other crisis before had shown such an impact on our industry. So it has been my lesson, to be honest. The teams on the other side have answered in an amazing way. And the experience was really shared. So I think what was built out of the COVID, especially between teams across different regions and different countries, is the sharing of best practices. There was a lot of things happening, organized with a lot of creativity, and then just shared in an extremely quick way and dynamic. So that has been, to be honest, again, fast. And sharing period. So those are my two points to take after this crisis.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. On Elton's side, one of your hotels is here in the Costa del Sol, next to our school as well. How did that experience go for you? Because again, we were a bit behind some of the different markets, and
well, I think the most frustrating was that every day we had to work very hard for it because every day was a different scenario. Every day we had to work to look for the solutions, and the next days everything had changed, so we had to look for another new solutions. All this crisis is so new for everybody. Nobody has any experience on it, so and nobody has any background, where you can try to look for some help or somebody to open new ways of fighting against this crisis. This Mario Vendetti used to say, now that we know all the answers, they change again the questions. And that was a bit that has been happening during these days. And it's still like that. We still haven't got 100% sure what's going to be the next days. But as always, I think the common part of this crisis will be the same part of all the old crises we have with the history has passed. Working, we will get through of it, and better days will come, and even we will change things that will be better.
Thank you, Elton. On Carlos' side, you have urban hotels, you have resort hotels around Spain, and I know it was an exciting year for you guys because you started off with this agreement with Hyatt, no? And how did you guys live this confinement? And particularly, I know you have hotels in Madrid, and I think they were one of the regions that were more affected in Spain. How was that for you? Sorry, we have a problem with Carlos's microphone. Okay.
Sorry. I was in mute to make sure that I was not making interferences, and now I forget to put it.
Thanks, Carlos.
I tried to say that it was very confusing. As my colleague says, everything was super fast, not expected. We were trying to put measures in place. We were trying to close hotels, use only one hotel in one of the city where we have more than one hotels. But the speed was so fast that after 2 weeks, all our hotels were closed. And also we started trying to put measures of temperature to our employees, things that we didn't know. Honestly, we didn't know what to do really, because we were reading, but there was not proper advisors for this situation, because as Elton says, it's new, and now we know the answers. They will change again the system, and that's what had happened. At the really beginning, we thought Italy will not impact us, and we had Italy, very close. We didn't look properly because it was happening, and they are our neighbors, and we are flying connectly with them daily. And I think we didn't react in time. That was one is the difficulties as a country. We see that some other areas that react in time or put measures in place before us, they are in a better moment at the moment. Their reaction is a lot better, but as Elton says, the only way we can go through it is working all together and making sure that we do what we know how to do, which is hospitality, taking care of our guests. to make sure that we are go live very, very shortly, because we cannot forget that our memory is very short. And this is something very positive for our industry. Difficult times are going to be forgotten very easily, because we always want to remember good times and forget about the bad times. And we hope that without forgetting, because we will implement things in place to make sure sanitation is more important than what it used to be, we forget the bad moments of this crisis and we go to the good moments that we normally live in our hotels, restaurants, and countries.
Thank you, Carlos. I think, all of us also went through a situation where support to our staff and making them understand what's happening was also an important question. No, and for that, I'll introduce you again back to Almudena Casas. She is the Senior Manager for Learning and Development with Marriott in Middle East and Africa. Just some background, although Almudena is in Dubai, her heart is here in Malaga. She is from Malaga. But she did move there a few years ago, actually opening with Kempinski, if I'm correct, brought you to the Middle East in Qatar and Abu Dhabi with Starwood, and then now with Marriott over there. What have you been doing to support your staff, Almudena? It's been a difficult moment, for staff as well to be supported. How did that go for you in the different hotels that you oversee?
So the good thing about working for such a huge company is that we have the ability to have a lot of resources. So within Marriott, we have our internal page where we actually have great platforms for learning and development. So there have been a lot of online trainings that have been happening and that are constantly being happening for our associates. In addition to that, we have been able to leverage different relationships that we have had with companies like, for example, Rosetta Stone. They provide different language trainings that have been providing free trainings for our associates. And in addition to that, the full learning and development team, we have been working on converting all of our instructor-led trainings. So those trainings that are face-to-face, regarding any topics within leadership, converted into virtual. So we are using different platforms to provide these trainings for our associates so they can enroll, and regardless of if they're working or not, because unfortunately we of course had to place a lot of our associates on a furlough. And they, regardless of their status, they can still attend the trainings and do all of these platforms. We, in addition, do a lot of calls with them, and our president of Europe, Middle East, and Africa does at least once a month a call with all of the associates with different updates from how our properties are doing, how the market is doing, and looking and foreseeing how potentially the future would look, right? Because although we can't foresee what could happen, as we have all seen, we have this conversation today, and tomorrow we're going to see a completely different. But it has been really well shown how Marriott and our culture of putting people first has really been showing most of the time, and it is great how our associates are really responding and how engaged they are into their development.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Almudena. Patrick, you also oversee a lot of different regions with different needs. How was that for supporting your staff at your level?
It was, let's say, extremely interesting from that perspective. And what I was, as Almudena was just sharing a second ago, I was impressed and still are on how the teams in this situation actually were hungry for learning. Though they actually came out, and our learning development team with different platforms or video trainings as well were actually trying to feed on a weekly basis, sometimes also bi-weekly, with those trainings. I think it's a great opportunity as well, not only from the professional point of view, but also from the personal point of view to proceed in that direction. And first of all, beside the learning and development, I think that there was also a main point that our lifestyle changed totally, because the quarantine brought us to a new dimension. To also, in my case, I have two kids. Trying to work, to learn with two kids running around. Sometimes I was feeling like the BBC guy, in doing a course or a webinar with my son putting the hand around, or Spider-Man coming from the other side. So that has been the interesting part. So I've seen a lot of proactivity from the teams, no matter where they were looking. I've seen a lot of as well collaboration that was going, reaching out to us as well to showcase a little bit what could be done and how they were willing also to help the corporate office to get things done. So it has been extremely different. Everybody in a different way, also based on the situation, on the seasonality, because that has been also a big impact in different situations and scenarios on the market as well to do that. Again, I think from this experience and from the relation I got from the teams, I'm absolutely impressed. Not only I would say on how our teams in Radisson have answered, but how the industry came together. The collaboration with schools like Les Roches, with webinars, the possibility to even reconnect with alumni or professionals from other companies, even competitors, and how this sharing of best practice has really gone and brought a lot of positive message to the difficult situation.
Thanks, Patrick. I do see, I think it's the same for all of us. The engagement of the teams during the crisis, I think we really saw all the teams come together and really show the positive side. Talking from Les Roches as well, incredible teams have put everything, to really participate and to help out those that needed. So I think that is a very good trait of hospitality, in which we are seeing that human side of what our industry actually is. I'll move on just to change a bit of theme. I'll move on to Elton, because I know Elton is he is the COO of Smile Hotels. Smile Hotels actually belongs to Logi Travel, which is one of the biggest OTAs around. And I just wanted to ask you, Elton, from your side, all that relationship with online travel agencies, and many people are a bit concerned with, cancellations of bookings and what's going to be happening. How are you seeing that in your side?
Well, from the side of the OTAs, nearly everybody, what they are trying to do, to maintain the cash flow in the next months, is trying to avoid all the cancellations and changing them for bonus to being used in the next month. Okay, with special offers, better upgradings, and because right now there's not a lot you can do. Right now, the reservations are not, or the bookings through OTAs are really low. The only good thing that now the bookings are coming in and cancellations have stopped to come in. No? So we can already see that we're starting to go up the hill. No? But it's going to be a long hill, and I think until July, August may be the best scenarios, or the most positive scenarios, that it will start there. Mm-hmm. On the hotel side, I think that this year we have to focus on the OTAs. On first thing is use all our COVID-19 measures have to be not only a higher cost operating cost, but also it has to be a marketing tool. And that marketing tool we have to make sure that we take all those measures. They are very visible in all our OTAs, because we sell trust and confidence to the guests. They will choose your hotel or another. So I think that's one of the important things that we have to look through our OTAs. And also we have to be very flexible. We have to start with new types of room, like maybe sell only room only with no F&B or any service extra. People maybe only will want to go only to use a room and not not use the common areas of the hotel. So room only, self-catering, all these things. I think is a priority to change or the way that we used to sell through the OTA and be more flexible in that way. We have to eliminate non-refundable for flexible bookings and going back to our marketing tool as COVID-19. I think that every company should already be creating the stamp of COVID-free certification. So, I think that's one of the important things, that when they open an OTA, they see in the corner of that hotel that they are COVID-free. Because that will be one of the things that would make people click on the hotel.
Thanks, Elton. Actually, that is a very interesting point, and I'll touch back a bit into that in terms of what you're doing in hotels, and I know that Patrick has a few things to say of what the hotel of the future is going to be looking like, and I'm sure that you're working in different strategies. So before we go into that, I just wanted to also introduce Carlos and talk a bit about Carlos. He's the global head of Esperia Urban Hotels. As I mentioned before, since he joined, they've been in a constant growth, and they've acquired a few hotels under the brand of Hyatt in Spain currently. And Carlos's background, and I must say, I think all of you share the same background, that you have a passion for F&B. That's something that I just realized. And Carlos has a big chunk of that in his CV when he was working with Meliá and with W, developing different concepts with the Gerber Group. I remember Carlos used to have his meetings with Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford. So those were good days. Just from your side, and I know that Carlos is actually pretty good at finance, and how do you think this is impacting the Spanish market, and what's your point of view in that sense?
I mean, the Spanish market is going to be very impacted not only by the situation, only by the general economy that we have around. We need not only individual proposals from the sectors. We need a lot of help from the government. There are countries like Germany that have already reduced their VAT to 7%, coming from 19%. That is going to be a big incentive to continue traveling around their country and having more clientele from other countries. For us, we know that tourism is the biggest sector that we have in our country, which means that is really, really relevant to be able to reactivate it. And how to reactivate it is to be, of course, as Elton says, to create be able to have the client safe and have measures that will be making dynamism to all the employers. At the end of the entrepreneurs are the key players for this situation. But the entrepreneurs are taking a high risk. Today, that's why we need to have to make sure that the governments are helping them to be able to reactivate their businesses. Elton was saying before about the COVID-free stamp. I hope that as a Europe, we have a COVID-free stamp for all Europe. To be independent COVID-free stamps per chain, I think honestly will not be the right decision, because a small chains will not have the same standards. We will not be able. We don't have to relieve. We will not know what each one is doing. And I think we have to be first as a country, and then as a European Union to have a COVID stamp, because at the end the measures that all the activity we do in Spain is going to be essential for us as our country, and then for the European Union, because we are a big part of it. And as we said, our tourism represents more than 14% on direct employees and indirect employees in Spain of our economy. But this is essential. Today we are seeing just a proposal from the government that is there on the internet, saying that people will have help, entrepreneurs will have help on their social cost if they open their hotel earlier, and even if they are closed, they will have some help, which is essential to be able to survive, because all the entrepreneurs, they need this help. Not only the big hoteliers, also the hoteliers that are the small restaurants and fast. Please,
Okay.
Matt,
I see that Carlos is suffering the working from home, like all of us that do have children. We were actually just talking about that before we went live, where it's also becoming a challenge, to do both. So we'll get back to you, Carlos, with the financial impact. I'll take this opportunity to remind everyone, thank you for joining us in our different social media channels. We are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and we are on YouTube. We have a lot of people that are following us now and sending a few reactions. Thank you for joining us. I'm live here on Marbella campus. It's an incredible afternoon. And we're joined by Elton, who is also in Marbella. Almudena is in Dubai, and Patrick is actually in Brussels. And as you can see, Carlos is in Madrid with his children, so I'm sure he'll connect in a few seconds. Let's carry on a bit, and I'd like to talk a bit about talent development, because that is something that might have shifted in your plans. Maybe Almudena, you can share a bit of your thoughts of what were your plans for talent development, and is there going to be any specific actions to face this new scenario?
So in terms of talent development, we have seen, and I guess we're all discussing about it, right? How most of our associates have been extremely excited about developing their skills, especially during this time. And I think we all had all of these amazing tools when it came to talent development that we just had there sitting, and now we have had to really just utilize them. We really thought that maybe Skype was for just to do a business call or just to check on somebody, some team calls, but now we're actually utilizing in order to deliver training, right? So I think really in terms of talent development, we have expanded the way that we see the word. And I definitely, I'm taking care of the delivery part of learning and development for Middle East and Africa, that we are going to find more different, many different ways to deliver training. And I believe that the future of training is not going to be fully on a face-to-face experience like we would always expect training to be. But we have really seen that our teams are extremely engaged when it comes to that development online. And yes, definitely there are, when we talk about generation perspective, there are generations that are going to feel more comfortable with utilizing these tools and others that will not. But I think that everybody so far has been able to adapt. And if we're able to target for everybody, I don't think talent development will be affected in such. I think it's actually a great opportunity to look at it and to take that time for that. But if I take the talent development on a new direction, and for those of you that are listening, maybe you're on a furlough or you're currently not working, this is the time for you as well. This is not a holiday. So a lot of people are out there saying, oh, you have to do all of these workouts, you have to learn something new, you have to put something new in your CV. Sometimes, for some people, waking up in the morning and having breakfast, that's already an achievement. And that is fine. And you can wake up in the morning and say, today I feel really bad. I don't want to do anything. That's okay. And you should be fine with it. And you shouldn't feel pressure from anybody or any social media challenge to tell you that, oh, I have to learn something during this time. Find time to discover yourself. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? But don't put so much pressure on you. Again, it's not a holiday. We're going through a pandemic, and it is tough time. It's tough time for everybody.
Thank you, Almudena. I'm sure you're speaking, of course, from experience, from people that you are talking to and living this confinement. I think at the end of the day, although we have different jobs, but I think, and I experience this every day, we are also not only working our regular job, but we're also there to listen to everybody and to support, because it's not an easy moment for anyone. And there's a lot of anxiety going on. And I think that the uncertainty is definitely something that's eating a lot of people inside. So I think, thank you for sharing that. It's very important that we are able to say it's okay, I don't feel well today, and then pick up from there, so that we ensure that that doesn't explode later on, because that could also be a possibility. Thanks for that insight, Almudena. We'll get back a bit to that. I'll move on to Patrick. I did present him earlier, but just some background. Patrick joined the PGD with us in 2013. I did have the pleasure of meeting you. And as I said before, Patrick is very much food and beverage oriented as well. He comes from a background of event industry, and then worked for Starwood, and then later on within Radisson, working for innovation and digital transformation. Patrick, within a group that has over 7 brands, more than 1,000 hotels, around the world, and I think you kind of have a clearer vision of how the different markets are developing, or if they are developing effectively at different rates. How do you see that recovery in the different areas that you oversee?
Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. I was thinking now that actually Carlos on this webinar, he was there on my graduation day, passing me over the certificate. So it's nice to, this occasion also to make the network. Said that, I mean, we had started, and we had some mention about that, a quite deep transformation. There was a Harvard Business Review article some years ago that was placing the hospitality industry as the 3rd least digitalized industry. So only worse than us, there was construction and hunting and fishing. So that's how bad we were. Even the governments we criticize a lot of times were no more digital than us. We have set this transformation looking at how the hotel 2.0 will look. And at the same time, we're trying, of course, to adapt in this digital transformation compared to the markets where we are looking if we go on an international scope. For example, I do an example regarding the payments. At the moment in Asia, payments with the wallet, with your phone, represent over 60% of the transactions. While in the US, they're around 40%. In Europe, we're still quite behind, not only because of the technology, but also because of the customer behavior and how the consumer is actually looking at this technology, not having a full trust yet in how to use it. In the same way, we were facing in the hotel industry that understanding and like a lot of other companies that we have from the consumer or guest side, 5 different generations, now even probably 6. Each of them are different expectancies or expectations. The international, let's say, background gives also some more, expectations that they bring on, and you need to adapt on all of them. And we're challenged in one particular aspect at a global level, in my opinion. One side, we're looking as hotels to be as much as possible standardized, especially when you talk to medium and big companies. But being a service industry, you want to personalize the stay of your guest. So the balance between standardization and personalization, in my opinion, is only in the digital transformation and in the digital tools that will allow that. That can be the CRM, that can be AI, RPAs, robotic process automation. The guest will not change, and the guest will always love to have the human interaction. Don't get me wrong. And I think we were discussing before also with Carlos, and I totally agree with him on the fact that the future of the structure of the hotels has teams will totally change. We're not going to need anymore somebody specified in front office. We're not going to be probably, and I'm probably one of the examples of as well. I started from the event business, moved to food and beverage, then came to Les Roches and actually expanded my boundaries in hospitality as a whole, but also business management. And then when I went to the hotels, to rooms, and then grew to the corporate world, adapting and going through really, the transformation on a more flexible style position. And if you remember maybe the hotels of one day, the hotel manager, director, or GM, he was in the lobby welcoming the guests. You don't have to be anymore in the back of office, actually, filling all the financial data. You have systems that do that. I mean, it's good to understand them, but it's more important that you focus on what the guest is bringing to you. And that's the value that we have. That's a little bit my view. I mean, I can keep on subject for quite some time, because I think there is a lot to say. And I see it as a great opportunity.
We will be featuring an insight on that for Patrick on our blog later on. Thank you for that, Patrick. In terms of the, I think we touched an important subject, which is guest experience. No? And Elton, I think the incentive, or let's say the incentives of your hotels or the plannings that you have are very much related to technology and how you're applying that to stay. You know, how are you going to be, let's say, leveraging that technology in terms of a post-COVID situation? So,
Helmut,
yeah, sorry, you're in mute.
Very important anyway. Don't worry. We try to focus this, or we try to explain this always, that we have to use in a kind way all the technology, because I think that it's the future. Maybe we don't like what's coming, but the future is going to be like that. You even see children now go to the hotels and they don't want to meet friends there. The friends are in their phone. So what you have to create in a hotel is different types of experience, so they can share it with their friends that are not in the hotel, in somewhere else. No, it sounds a bit sad. It's not what we were used to do when we were young, but that's what's coming. No, so what we try to make a lot of communication through the app of the hotel. No, starting from the press check-in, room service order, even making suggestions during your stay. So what we try to create is that if you have to say something, don't wait until you've left the hotel. Here we're going to get through the app. You've got the opportunity to say everything that you want to tell us when you're here, and then we will have an opportunity to fix it. Because some people like to go to reception, but also there's a lot of people that don't like to go to reception, and through the app they're giving us all those comments that through the technology we are able to reach to them.
Any of you want to maybe bring out that subject, Carlos or Almudena, or even Patrick, in terms of the guest experience, both how it is currently and what you're looking forward to in the coming days?
I mean, just I wanted to bring a small thing on the table, is that if we see, which we can think is not related, but the only share that is not going down on the stock market is technology, because the future is going that direction. And Patrick says that we are not into technology yet, and Elton is saying how he's getting to his chain into technology. I mean, if it's the stock market that went down completely, all what is related to technology and future intelligence and all this, that's what we are talking, and what is going to help us to make sure that the experience is still there, but using technology. And we know that the future client that we have in our hotels, because the people who travel the most are people between 25 and 40 years old, which are using already technology, and is going to be demanded. The only thing I have said, we have to adapt. And the one who adapts the fastest is going to be the winner. And this is also a great opportunity for all the students from the Roche, because they are a lot more into technologies that maybe Almudena, Elton, Patrick, and for sure myself, But I'm doing my effort daily, because I know that we need to be there. We need to make sure that we are very competitive, and we are able to use our force from the employee to be in contact with the guests, as they were saying before, the GM being at the front, and not spend time on administration processes.
Thanks, Carlos. Thanks for that insight. I think if I see what we're talking about, I think we can go on until maybe midnight with all these different things that you're all bringing to the table. Which I don't. Why not? Maybe do another one of these where we can maybe touch on these specific situations, because I'm also seeing a bit of the interaction that we have from the chats. Where some people are asking about humanizing technology or replacing humans with technology. I think there's a lot to talk about in that sense, and we can probably cover that in the next session. But just to finish off with that point, I think an insight from you, Almudena, that you're with human resources. Maybe just a quick comment from you in that sense.
in terms of digitalizing humans or humans being digitalized. So I can see actually some of the comments talking in regards to technology and moving this human aspect, right? So I think, yes, technology is going to be a huge part. And just before this whole unfamiliar situation started, we as a company really started working towards, well, of course, we launched Marriott Bonvoy, our loyalty program, and we created a lot of back-end systems to support our associates whenever, especially they were at the front desk and food and beverage, in order to and have the information directly with them around the members. Now, I think we cannot, as an industry, move forward without technology, but I see technology as a tool that is going to help our associates to really have more time to spend with the guests and really be more interactive with them. In the past, if I arrived to the front desk and I was maybe a member of the loyalty program, the associate spent a long time typing all of this information. While now with the technology that we have, instead of the associate having to write down all the information is already there. So I'm spending time getting to know the member better, understanding more about this new guest, understanding where they're coming from, why are they here with us. So I see technology as an assistant on how we can actually be better in hospitality at the end of the day, because it's what we do, and I don't think you would ever remove humans. And it's been tried. I mean, in one of our brands, Aloft, we have this e-concierge, and it's an actual robot, which would, yes, for some generations, it actually works really well, but at the end of the day, and I love technology, but I always want to pick up the phone and complain to a person, not a computer.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great take, Almudena, and from my side, I completely share with you that I think technology should be there to enable us to be more in touch with the guest and that human touch, which what hospitality is about. And on that note, we're running a bit out of time. So in that note, I did want to bring up an important matter, which is, this human touch that we deliver in our different hotels or different establishments, and how are we going to be delivering that? And one thing that I am quite certain, and I think you all agree, is that luckily we live in an industry where we've seen during these times that there is hope, and that the hospitality values of making people happy is very much there. And when I say that I've seen many examples of companies that have been working towards solidarity practices and doing different things to help, the locals and people that in need. Maybe Patrick, what have you been doing in that sense?
Well, we have seen a lot of initiatives, not only in EMEA, but also at a global level. I mean, just to mention something, we have seen the Radisson Blu Kuwait that started to provide over 500 meals per day. We're also one of the first, would say, a company that started the campaign about lighting closed hotels with the heart, coming in particular from the Nordic countries, from Copenhagen and beginning of March, when the first hotels were closing down. Then, I mean, we are seeing, there is one in particular which I love, and it's actually one of Almudena's colleagues, meaning that he's always in the learning and development side, a colleague of us that she was unfortunately pulled through, and she actually decided to volunteer for the NHS. And actually, she's doing that from Monday to Friday. So she's helping in her community, in her neighbors, anybody that has COVID, to actually assist with the grocery or with the medicaments or so on. So there has been again a way and a collaboration that has been impressive. I mean, other examples at the global level. For example, Radisson Red Minneapolis downtown, they actually partnered with the Red Cross. And they collected over 60 volunteers that donated blood to save almost 200 people, because that also in the emergency there was a big need of that. So donating goods that were staying in our fridges that unfortunately had to go either thrown or to help maybe people that had more need for that. We have seen, also offering masks and cleaning disinfectant material. So it's amazing. And as you said before, I think the principle is that the hospitality soul really came out not only towards our guests, but in particular towards our communities.
Thanks, Patrick. I completely agree, and in that line, and also with one of the comments that I'm seeing from our panel here, I know Carlos with the Esperia team have been doing incredible things with the health teams. No, what have you been doing in Esperia and particularly in Madrid, Carlos?
Correct. We've been doing things around the whole country. At the end, we're based in Spain, our chain. We have done things first to our employees. That, of course, we talked before about trainings, but we have done a lot of donations we know there are families that needed more than others, and all our stocks of food and beverage has been donated to the different families, because we know it's difficult times, even if we have some help from the government. And in addition to that, we have talked from day one to the government to give them support with our hotels. We have one hotel that is doing the full service today for doctors that are helping in other hospitals. They are doctors from the area, but they cannot live in their houses because the risk of being infected. And the hotel is just for them, giving them the full, from breakfast to lunch, dinner, and it's 83 rooms just for doctors or doctors that are coming from other parts of the country, helping in this destination, which is the Basque Country in Bilbao. Then we have another hotel that is we have a hotel which has small kitchens, and we have designated in Barcelona for a quarantine. To spend the days that, if you have been infected, but you are in good conditions and you need to be out of your house. We have 123 rooms, mini apartments that are in these conditions, with all, of course, working with the hospital, because everything is related to the hospital in this case, where we are providing, of course, all the food and beverage with the hospital help, because, of course, this is not the same regular standards as a hotel, but and also the different routines of cleaning and how to adapt the hotel to this situation. Then also we have done a lot of donations from individuals from the hotels and from the company to support, as before my colleague Patrick mentioned, the Red Cross in some of the cities and some other some other companies that are helping today people that has more needs. In addition to that, at the really beginning, we have given support also to other. We know that we're still having people who need to fly with the medicines, and we have several rooms that has been for today. Those hotels are closed, but during the first weeks that we still remain open, but not open to the market, open to just attend this guest that they have needs at the really beginning. And those are the main things that we have done. We are a small company, but we have a lot of penetration in Spain, and we really are trying to support our country, because first is the health and safety of everybody, and then we will be back to business.
Thank you, Carlos. We are running out of time, and I did want to try to answer some of the questions of people that are sending them through the chat, and it is in line with the way I want to also finish our session this afternoon, which is, and one of the questions was, how do you see the recovery of the industry at the midterm, long-term, short-term? So I'd be happy to hear from you on what your expectations are in that sense. I can start from any of you, whoever wants to start.
I think, I don't know if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
Okay, I think we have two phases here. As we know, the connectivity between countries now is limited, which is meant a completely different scenario from what it used to be, especially from countries like Spain, that we are receiving a lot of people from other countries. That means that we need to adapt in the short term to attend the needs of the local market. And this is, this is very good, because the local market is going to live, but our country and we have more hotels than the local market needs, which means that we need to adapt to that situation. Then We hope that we're able to start the business with this in the summer. I hope that we know that in August Spain stops and everybody needs to go out, and after this situation, we will need more than ever. And we hope that this can start the acceleration of our industry, to get back to some activity. Then I hope that the winter time to be able that if we do our homeworks as a country, be able to give with this type of stamp that give make people feel comfortable to come to visit us again, that from the north of Europe they are going to need, And on the midterm, after Christmas, I think that we will start seeing more traveling from different continents. Before that, I see first short-term Spanish market until September. I hope after September we are going to open our borders and European traveling. And after that, after Christmas, I hope we can start with having people from Asia and from America come. That's how I see it on the short term.
Thank you, Carlos. Any of you want to take the lead?
I mean, I see the same thing with what Carlos was saying. I mean, we're already seeing, for example, countries like New Zealand in conversations with Australia for them to open the market between each other, even including Singapore. But if we're talking about Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then Patrick also can jump in on this one, I think it's going to work like that. We're going to start with local markets. This is how, for example, the United Arab Emirates is currently. So we have opened hotels and partially food and beverage outlets for our local market. And potentially within the Gulf community countries, the travel will start, and then it will expand. But it is not something that will happen from one day to another. It is up to each government. I'm sure will see whatever fits, right? But as we have seen also China, right? They've been opening up slowly. So I think this is the future for us as well. And I mean, every other industry is affected. So I actually saw a question there that actually touched my heart. And I'm sorry, I know we're really bad on time, but somebody was questioning about hospitality not being the industry that you want to work because it's not secure. No industry is secure at the moment. And I think all of us here are hoteliers by heart. There is no other place that I would work. We will travel again. We will all, and this would be one of the industries that will recover faster because we've been secluded at home. We want to travel. We want to get out of our homes. So it's definitely going to improve.
Thank you for that, Almudena.
I'll just highlight something very quickly, Manu.
Yep.
In the last years, everywhere you could hear a lot that hospitality was very important. It's a big motto of the economy. Everybody we are used to hear that. But this crisis has really made everybody realize how important the hospitality industry is in the world. And because I think that all these sectors are being damaged, but if one industry will carry on, and one industry will have a lot of help from all the governments and from everybody to keep moving, will be the hospitality industry. That's why I'm quite positive about this, because everybody now really knows the importance that this industry is, and that is going to help us, have a quick recover, and in a short time period, this will get back to the new normality.
Thank you.
And if I can add on that, I think what I was seeing as well from different economists, not only for our industry but from others, is that compared to the other crises in the past, where the recovery curve was in a U shape, we'll probably see after this crisis a V-shaped recovery. So it's going to be in the same way it came, extremely fast to go back. I agree with all the points that were said. I mean, domestic will be the main driver over the summer. I still believe that as we saw during the crisis, meaning that every day we're learning something new. With the reopening, we'll learn every day something new, meaning that there's going to be new confidence from the guests, new interest. That means that the pace of booking and of seeing also local or domestic guests in our hotels will be maybe 2-3 days before. and the time period they will stay in our hotels will be shorter. And another important point, in my opinion, is that as hoteliers, maybe we are now the disruptor in the service apartment industry, meaning kind of Airbnb. If I'm a consumer, I probably have a lot more trust on cleanliness, disinfectation, and hotel more than an apartment. So I think there is a lot of good hope. Personally, over the summer, what we're seeing in July and August in particular, it's everyday reshaping. And the more we're going to see country opening, the more trust there's going to be for the industry. So I'm really positive on that. Probably the only segment which will stay a little bit later is the M&E or MICE business. So that will totally change the way seen for the moment the meeting and events. And I think one of the big, let's say, positive points about this COVID as well has been the value of virtual meetings. I mean, I've noticed that my attention levels during this virtual meeting were a lot more high compared to actually meeting in person. I don't know why, maybe because you feel the camera on you, but it's great from that perspective. So I'm a big fan of at least of this let's say experience. And I mean, we're gonna see, and we're gonna go back to the same pace of growth that the industry have seen before this hit, and even stronger in my opinion. So it's a huge opportunity.
Thank you very much, Patrick. We are running out on time. We don't want to as well keep everybody connected. I think we have a lot of different, let's say, subjects that we've touched, a lot of different messages. I'm really happy to see that the messages coming out from you are also in line of positive hope. And that's the way we also see it. There's different comments on the chat box as well regarding how hospitality will also be one of the first to recover after these times. So I really thank you for that. As you can see, my idea was to do this from the campus. And as you can see, the sun in Marbella never stops. And it's actually hitting me in my head. So I think some of you may not be able to see me. I don't know if you want to add anything before we do say goodbye.
We will travel again.
We will travel again. Yeah. Absolutely. Exactly. I think with alumni like you, everything that you've been doing in the industry, I do want to give a big shout out to all of our alumni, all of our Les Roches alumni around the world, because I know everybody is doing an incredible job in their positions and supporting people. I think one of the messages that I leave with this is the spirit of hospitality is truly alive even in moments of crisis, if not maybe bigger or more highlighted, and that's the essence of what we do, where we make people happy and make them have incredible experiences. Although the experiences now will have to be more related to a feeling safe environment, but without a doubt, with alumni like you and alumni around the world, Les Roches is here to stay, as well as the industry. So thank you very much for your point of view. I do want to remind everyone that is an alumni that's watching us this afternoon that they can join the alumni site. We have different questions that are here. I think I'm going to take many of these questions and maybe formulate another live event so that we can maybe talk specifically about the questions. I think 1 hour is not enough, but I think we have a lot to talk about. So in that sense, thank you all for your time. I know it's precious. I know it's the weekend. Carlos, you can have your children jump back in if you want. Say goodbye to us if you want. I know, Patrick, you're keeping them in a room or something, and Elton.
I closed them.
Also the same.
Before you say goodbye, I have to say something. Okay, that as I am, as you know, I'm a member of the alumni. Remember, everybody, to keep following us. We're a bit stopped right now because of the situation, but we've got a lot of new events coming soon. So don't forget to follow us and to keep so you can see all what we're going to do this year and next year. Okay.
Thank you, Elton. On a lighter note, maybe just a round of questions. Describe your time at Les Roches. How was that? Not too many details.
What, me?
How was your time at Les Roches?
I'm just going to say, and I'm actually going to answer a question. Jonas was saying, should I still consider studying at Les Roches? I think it will be the best decision you ever do. So yes, go study at Les Roches.
Thank you for that, Almudena. You're absolutely passionate about Les Roches, and I know that we have also been there for you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to maybe add in? Oh, there are your kids, Patrick. Nice to see them.
Well, yeah. So, Manu, I wanted to thank you also, you and the entire Les Roches community for organizing this and taking the time, because it's extremely and highly appreciated. And again, I mean, Les Roches has left personally on an amazing mark in my personal and professional development. So I would advise, not only because of the beautiful sun in Marbella, but also because of the content and experience that the course is giving you, to absolutely reach out. And you have an amazing faculty team around you, so great job, and we're really looking forward for the next steps in Les Roches.
Thank you very much for that, Patrick. Carlos, how was your time at Les Roches, or any last comments?
I mean, it was next to Elton, next to you. It was a great time. No, it was a great time. I learned a lot about my life, about the life around us, and also about the business, which I thought it was the first thing to learn, but it was the last thing to learn, which is learn about life, which is super important. And I have to be, I mean, very glad to what the Les Roches has done for me, because really, I mean, I will send my kids there, which is everything. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Manu, for all you for being there. A big applause for Manu. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I have the pleasure of having Mr. Hassan Jibet see us as well. So I know he's in there somewhere, and somebody was saying that I'll show this message. Wine tasting Friday mornings were very interesting. That's more in honor of Hassan Jibet joining us. So also a shout out to him that's been following us today. Thank you, guys. Very, very, very interesting. Very, very great stuff that we were able to talk about. Keep safe. We'll speak soon, and keep doing what you're doing, which is an incredible job. Thank you, guys.
And stay at home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.